His clothes are expensive, but unkempt. A tailored jacket stretched and warped out of its best fit by long days on the road. His thinning frame weighs down the boxcar next to yours. "You got a light, friend?" You offer a match, which bends and nearly snaps as he scratches it against the pitted iron edge of the boxcar. "Thanks," he mumbles, perching one last cigarette on his lip. "Don't rightly know where I'm going." You notice how deeply wrinkled his clothes are. It's as though a huge hand plucked him from a high society party and crumpled him up like a sheet of paper. "Don't rightly know how I got going either. They built a railway just past Missy Hudson's estate. Damned racket ruined our soiree. Might have been a few bottles of Armagnac too many when I walked down the tracks to tell them to keep it quiet." He drags on the cigarette, but you never see him exhale.
Hey, traveler, come to join my fire again? Well, I guess I know you well enough to let you set yourself down for a spell. You remember Cass and Flip? You want to hear more about my travels? Well, sure, why not? Nothing better than trading stories around the fire, and I got stories. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? I'm hankering for one of those. That was a chuckle, to be sure, but do you know anything more lively? Traps and such like. Well, one time in Fort Worth, a feller tried to take Cass and Flip away. Said a kid couldn't look out for him proper like, that they were fat in Fort Worth and they were going to the pound so that he could find him a good home. Well, Before I could much argue, Flip bit the hell out of that busybody, and Cass and I joined in shortly. I don't think I ever seen a fella so surprised. Guess I ain't going back to Fort Worth no more. Hey, tell me a funny story. You seem like you still got a sense of humor. Not sure I quite follow that one. This land sure is something, ain't it? I can't wait to see it all. Tramping like I do makes me realize the land's another kind of companion. It's always with you. Maybe things are so depressed because folks lost sight of that. I want to hear a story about ghosts or murderers or something. Scary stuff. Wow, that's the stuff, stranger. Spooky campfire tales are my favorite. Sad. Oh, so you think just 'cause I'm young, I gotta be sad, crying after my mama every night. I don't need you looking after me, so if you're offering, don't. And I thought I told you to be respectful. What you really ought to be asking yourself is if you want to keep enjoying my spot or not. Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories. Ain't life got enough tearjerkers in it without telling stories like that? Jeez. Love stories. Huh. Folks sure seem to be eat up with the notions of love, singing and talking about it all the damn time. Not sure I see the appeal myself. I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any? I don't get too much out of tales that are so cheerful. Not enough excitement for me. My family. There ain't no way I'm gonna start jaw-flapping about those bastards. Judases, the lot of them. Enough said. Oh, heck, the night's over already. I sure enjoyed talking to you, but I gotta get on. I think I'll see what's happening up the road this way. Tramping life suits me just fine. Every day is a venture. With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. But it ain't. Plenty nice things to see if you know where to look.
My twin brother Paul and I always got into trouble, but we were good. We didn't do nothing to anybody till we left. Then we hurt a lot of people. Me, more so than Paul, because he didn't make it through. The march I was on, the bonus army, it's less a bonus and more an acknowledgement of what I've had to suffer. Civilians will never understand. So anyway, tell me a funny story? You seem like you know a few good ones. That can't be true. That sounds like a Navy tale. Authority? The law? Well, I had a thought once, in the trenches. You and I, all of us, have the right to the pursuit of happiness. Can't say I've held the Declaration myself, but does it say anything about having a right to achieve happiness? Know any good jokes? I'm not so good at telling them anymore. Life ain't like that, in my experience. But I guess my experience ain't normal. The past doesn't even feel like it happened. It feels like it's happening in every moment, in every slumber. When your memories come back to you, do they clutch at you, at your heart? So anyway, tell me a funny story? You seem like you know a few good ones. Yeah, Paul would have liked that one. Imprisonment? The more days I check off, the more I'm convinced that birth is an imprisonment. I must eat, so I must have money. I must have money, so I must work. It's an inevitable prison. Tell me a happy story. Something to make the world seem kind. I liked that one. There's some hope left for you too, you know. Don't give it away too quickly. My family. They were good to me. Ma and Pa, and to Paul, and to my sister Jessie. Some days I wish I could find Jessie again and have her help me. She always liked Paul best. Know any good jokes? I'm not so good at telling them anymore. Wish I could tell that one to my sister. Travel. Well, this walk feels like a little bit of freedom now and again. The flowers along the road make for fine company. Here's the sun. I've got to go. I'm headed up the road this way. Will our paths cross? Days come and go and the terrors return. They'll never be able to pay back what they owe me, but I'll always keep at 'em. What about you? Is there something somebody owes you?
The mailman's uniform is dated and worn. He sits on the edge of the road, head in hands. He looks up as you approach. "Can you help?" "Car clipped me. I think my legs... Well, I'd appreciate it if you could deliver this for me." He holds out a brown envelope. The letter's addressed to a James Gibson Sr., 120 J Street. But the city stymies you. The blocks run straight from I to K. You stop a man for directions, but he shakes his head and laughs. "Someone's playing a joke on you. There's no J Street." "Over here." A woman in a brown coat overheard your question. She steers you down an alley. Someone's chalked a big orange J on one wall. "I thought Clovis was late." "Go left up ahead. Old Man Gibson's the third on the right." As you round the corner, the world changes. J Street is a place out of time, like the city forgot an entire street a century ago and carried on around it, oblivious. Even the noise and bustle of D.C. can't penetrate this little pocket. The man who answers is ancient and stooped. He peers at the letter. I think it's from my son. I don't see so well anymore. Will you read it to me? You tear the letter open. It isn't good news. You read the letter, omitting a few key details, but his face still falls. I don't think he's coming home, he says. It's been so long. I don't think he's ever coming back. He takes the letter. Thank you for bringing word, at least.
Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale, my vagrant song. Well, I'm gonna scrawl my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that ferryman come for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much behind to drag me down.
As you walk along the river near an unfinished bridge, a man with a tool belt catches sight of you. Hey, over there, he calls out. You look like you could use a quick way to get some hard-earned money. Hard-earned is right. The bridge hangs high over a perilous drop. Great! He exclaims. Suppose you'll want a safety belt. We Thunderbird people don't need 'em. We fly when we fall. He chuckles. You find yourself up high, looking over the rushing river that crashes around the foundation of the bridge. As you work side by side, the man mentions, you can see Thunderbirds up here if you know how to look. You ask him to explain. Practice your peripheral vision, if you dare. Last thing you need up here is for them to see you seeing them and come swooping at you, he says laughingly. You only see the clouds thicken. It sure does pass the time working. The man pays you well when you're done with the job.
Be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale, my vagrant song.
Outside the small thicket of apple trees, the phrase "tended to by John Chapman" is carved into a fence post. Nearby, a hound lies on its side, perfectly still. Flies buzz around its ears. But a grizzled man pauses at his digging to shoo them off. There's an extra shovel. With it, the two of you make short work of the grave. He tells you about his beliefs, why he's raising apple orchards in the middle of the country. It's a sin to graft, he tells you. Hurts the tree. Eventually, the hole is deep enough. He stoops to the ground and lowers the pup into the earth. Tears flow freely. I'll see him again in heaven, he tells you. Our souls are bound by love. He wipes his eyes. I don't think I can bear to stay here, though. Maybe I'll set out again. It's the midday, and yet this whole neighborhood is eerily quiet. Everyone seems to have retreated into their homes as if warned of something. You soon realize what? The reciprocating sound of a Thompson gun, emptying its drum. You get behind a car, putting the engine block between you and the sound. but it's muffled, coming from inside a building. You're in no danger, you think, so you allow yourself a peek above the black hull of the car. And running down the cobblestone street, a man in fine, blood-spattered clothes. He has his hands out, mouth open, screaming something, but you don't catch what he says. He's drowned out by gunfire, and his body slumps to the ground. The men responsible, 3 abreast in dark overcoats and wide hats, walk up to him to check on the body. The smallest of the 3 has a nervous energy about him.
People are gonna see us, boss.
People ain't gonna see nothing. Not on these streets.
Here. Can you find her?
His voice is soft, cooing. He's lowered himself down so that his head is level with the 2 blonde-topped boys next to him.
Can you find Grandma?
They're pulling ears of corn off stalks with uncommon gentleness. You don't really say anything. You're just interrupted by the sight of the man's face, a subtle hole under his eye socket.
I didn't see you there.
The wormy body of a stock borer crawls out of his skull.
You'd best be moving on, Drifter.
I've met a lot of people like you on this road. There's something you want from it, isn't there? A desire that scratches and scrapes away at the sides of your body. Does being out here feed that part of you? It's that way for me, living in a state of motion, resting nowhere, returning to no one. I've been a wandering ghost for a while now, and I'll be that way for some time to come. But that's a fate I should have known I was in for. I'm a poet, after all. Sometimes I want to hear a sadness that resonates with my own. Do you know any stories like that? That one was like getting locked out in the cold with nothing but your sorrow. I liked it. I had a family. We were close. Me and Jess and Deborah, even Pauline. We had a shared goal in the world. When I think about any of them now, though, I can feel poison rising in my chest. They didn't do anything wrong. They're all still grand folks. It's just that the situation with Silas ruined my attitude towards them, too. Being jilted plays a mean trick on your capacity for love. Sometimes I want to hear a sadness that resonates with my own. Do you know any stories like that? The tragedy in that story, it's real. Have you ever tried writing poetry? The space you give to love is the same space you open yourself up for potential harm. That's an old truism, and I'd read all about that kind of thing from an early age. So, It's not like it should have been a surprise to me. Still, I wasn't prepared for how much it all going sideways hurt me as much as it did. The way I felt about Silas wasn't like anything I could remember feeling before. The whiplash from that is why I'm out here by myself now. Alone, out here. I spend too much time inside my own head. Can you tell me a hopeful story to lighten my mood? I like that one. Makes me feel the way Silas used to in the old days. Travel. Well, I've wandered for a long time, but I only feel worse than I did before. I walk and never get anywhere. Never solve anything. I'm not even sure what I'm looking for any longer. If I'd known things were going to end up this way, maybe I wouldn't have fancied myself a poet. Turns out, it's a miserable way to conduct yourself, you know? Don't worry about me, though. I'll be fine. Worry about taking care of yourself. Sometimes I want to hear a sadness that resonates with my own. Do you know any stories like that? The tragedy in that story, it's real. Have you ever tried writing poetry? I know sadness. These days, the melancholy just settles over me like a heavy bay fog. It makes its residence with me, and I accommodate it. I start to think, well, the world isn't made for being happy in, not for someone like me. My old friends have their happiness. Jess and Deborah, Pauline, Silas too, maybe. And good for them. It'd be wrong to begrudge someone their happiness, wouldn't it? No matter how jealous you are. Last town I stopped in, I didn't have cash for the bookstore. Do you have any stories like those paperback adventures? Exciting. Well, that's not the kind of thing I can write, but I like hearing it told. Authority. Look, one day you start saying things should be this certain way, and you see that things aren't that way, and you get upset. That's where suffering comes from, that mismatch. So, you'd think it would be equally simple to say, things are going to take the form they take, and I'll be okay with it. Of course, that's easy as a concept, and difficult as a practice. Silas introduced me to this Buddhist way of thinking. I miss the old group. I really do. I still have that image in my head. Pauline's house, the poets, Jess, me. But on top of them all, there's Silas. In my memory, he looms, he haunts. You ever meet someone so far above everyone else? It's like they were from a different plane altogether. That was him. A divine presence among normal human beings. Silas was part of the group, but at the same time he wasn't. He was better than any of us. Wiser, gentler, stronger. We all held him in respect. We were in awe of his power as a writer, in reverence for the beauty of his soul. I still love him. Look, I'm headed out this way. If you find yourself out there, maybe we'll meet again.